Jayson Tatum had a big game. Marcus Smart got tossed. Then the Celtics tried to give it away by forgetting how to box out, but they came through in the end, and that's what's really most important. I'm going to talk about it all right now on a bonus Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team. Step back, we gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I'm here for you every day, Monday through Friday, plus this bonus podcast, which all of a sudden I'm doing this at 3 a.m. Well, oh yeah, we're springing forward. It was 2 a.m., now it's 3 a.m. But I'm happy to lose the hour of sleep, I suppose, because then we get 7 p.m. sunsets. Oh, great. I finally get my vitamin D back, and my seasonal affective disorder can go away. I'm very happy about that. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Used to play once upon a time, and also written a book called Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. If you're not subscribed to this podcast, get it wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. This is a quick bonus podcast for you if you want to listen through Sunday. If you wake up and you're like, oh my God, why is it so late, or whatever the time is. It's something to get you through, because I'll do another podcast for you Sunday night into Monday for you to go to work with. So Boston Celtics get the win over the Atlanta Hawks. The final score was 134-125. Big picture is the Celtics came out. They came out strong. They built a lead of, I think the biggest lead was 16 or 17. They withstood a run. The Atlanta Hawks made a run. Every team makes a run. They took the punch. They answered back. They made some big plays down the stretch, and they beat a team that's potentially a first-round playoff opponent. So, in the big picture, in the 30,000-foot view, this is a nice win, good win. Going to the road. The Hawks were on a back-to-back. Trae Young has a good shooting night, has a big night, 35 points, 13 assists, and you still manage to win the game because you kind of limit the rest of the guys enough, or I shouldn't even say limit the rest of the guys enough. You basically outscored the rest of the guys enough to get to the 134-125 win. 125 points, just too many points to give up. But in the first quarter, it didn't seem like anybody was interested in playing any defense. Second quarter was when the Celtics really turned things around and held the Hawks to 23 points, outscored the Hawks by 11 in that quarter. Jaylen Brown was big in that quarter. Derek White was big in that quarter. That's really, I think, where the Celtics separated themselves in the second quarter. So the first quarter was a back and forth. Just everybody was scoring. It was all-star game level. No defense being played. Second quarter, the Celtics got stops. It was one and done for the Hawks. That was big. They started rebounding, and they started running off of misses, off of turnovers, all of that, and they really started to separate themselves. The third quarter was pretty much kind of played even. They added a couple of points to the lead there, and then they gave up those points in the fourth quarter, which was another kind of, they gave up 36 points in the fourth quarter. That's way too many points. The fourth quarter, the hallmark there was 5 offensive rebounds for the Atlanta Hawks. It seemed like if the Celtics could have just eliminated those offensive rebounds and just boxed out, this would have been a much easier game. Maybe we wouldn't have seen Marcus Smart go off on Trae Young and get ejected, which is an interesting kind of scenario. Now, do I think Trae Young actually kicked? If you didn't see it, Trae Young drives left, gets past Marcus Smart. Smart fouls him. Young's right foot kind of goes up and into Marcus Smart's nether regions, gets kicked in the boys down there, and he goes up to Trae Young, and they have words. Now, what happens next in the video? People will say, oh, John Karalis came over and knocked them both down. Yeah, if you really watch closely, you'll see maybe Collins knocked Smart down, but whatever it was, when Smart went down, he definitely grabbed Trae Young. I'm sorry to say it, but he definitely took Trae Young down with him. That was trying to be slick, but I don't think those two like each other, and they've had issues in the past. But the refs saw it. I saw it. He fell. However he went down, he took Trae Young with him. So I feel like that was just a complete loss of composure there. There's a stretch. Let me just get this out of the way, because people on Twitter gave me a bunch of crap for saying that I still feel like the stretch run was problematic, or not problematic. It was bothersome is the word that I used. It was bothersome. With minute 45 left or so, minute 47, I think it was, Saddiq Bey takes a three-pointer. It's in transition. Jaylen Brown's coming down the middle, and he kind of veers over to the left, and he kind of lazily closes out on Saddiq Bey. Did he land in Saddiq Bey's landing spot? Was he close enough? Whatever it was, people will argue that wasn't a foul. Okay, fine, we can argue it wasn't a foul, but the fact is that he kind of took this lazy route to get to Saddiq Bey. He was in the vicinity. He gave the officials something to go with. He was kind of close enough. And whether you think it was a foul or not, he was close enough for that to be made. It wasn't, there's some debate there, right? And if you're in the area and you give the official an opportunity to make the call, and he makes the call, then you know what? I'm sorry. That's on you. That's on you. It's a bad call. It's a bad call. But you know what? That lazy thing that he did, you gave up a 4-point play. You were up 10 with less than 2 minutes to go. All of a sudden, you're up 6. It's just a bad play. Don't give the ref the opportunity to screw you. Don't do it. Close out hard. Stop short. Be disciplined. It's the same thing. It's the same concept as any other closeout in the game. Do it right. Do it with discipline. And don't put yourself in a position to let the referee make a bad call. And he did. Sorry. That's how it goes. So lack of discipline there from Jaylen Brown, and especially a lack of discipline from Marcus Smart, because he chose to go after Trae Young. And at that point, it was less than 10 points. That's an opportunity. If he got tossed, I thought it was an and one. So I was especially like, so now there's an and one and a tech and whatever else. Yeah, there was an opportunity there. I thought there was a 5-point swing coming. Luckily, they only got the 2 free throws. They call the foul on the floor. But Marcus can't put your teammates, man. You can't put your teammates out there in that position at that point of the game. Like, understand, even if you get that, if you think it's an intentional kick to the nuts, you still have to, like, pick your spots. Do it after the game. Go after him after the game, right? Do that. Now you have to worry about, is there a suspension coming? Because Marcus has that reputation. So I feel like two instances down the stretch where the Celtics could have easily cruised to a win. And it starts with the offensive rebound. No doubt about it. Starts with the offensive rebound. Starts with the turnovers. Those two things. Clean those two things up. And this situation it never comes down to these other things. So if there's a lesson there, it's do your job, do it well, close the game out better, and you won't see these other things happening. But then when you're okay, so you've made a couple of mistakes. You haven't been boxing out. You gave up, you turned the ball over on the break. Could have been a 10-point game or something in that point where Marcus Smart turned the ball over. And then the other things happen. You just got to be better. You just got to be better. Am I crapping on the Celtics win? No, I'm not crapping on the Celtics win. I'm just saying they could be better when you're closing out a team like Atlanta. You got to be more disciplined. That's all. They did a good job. They were up 16. It didn't get into the 20s. It never, they got down to 5. So every team makes a run. But I'm looking for this isn't even about this game anymore. What I'm talking about. It's not even about this game. What this is about is closing teams out down the stretch, having that discipline to close teams out. And I thought they did a better job than they have in the past because they held on and they didn't let it go. They didn't let it go from 5 to 4 to 2 to tie and then overtime and lose in overtime, which we've seen. They held them off. Al Horford coming up huge down the stretch. I'm totally let's be clear about that. That's great that they were able to close them out. This is a good win. The Hawks they're a team that should be better than they are, but hey, good for the Celtics for closing them out. But at the same time, that stretch from a minute 47 to basically a minute long stretch there, minute 47 to 45 seconds. But by the time Al Horford gets that block shot on John Collins, that little stretch there, that's the loss of focus. That's the loss of discipline. That against the better team, if you do that against Milwaukee in that exact same situation, you're losing that game. You do that against any other team you're going to face in the playoffs, you're probably going to lose in that situation. So yeah, am I being tougher on this team at that spot? Yes, I am, because they're preparing for a run to the finals. They want to win a championship. Can't have those minute-long lapses, as egregious as they were, Marcus Smart's especially, but giving up a 4-point play in that spot, can't be doing that. That's all I'm saying. Jayson Tatum was awesome in this game. 34 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists. This game kind of gives some legitimacy, I think, to my plan for resting him. The Celtics had 2 days off before this game, and he came out looking spry. He came out looking springy and fast. The Hawks defense might actually do that for some people, but the 2 days off certainly helped. So now he gets a day off before Houston and a day off before Minnesota. And I say, take the Portland game off next Friday. I did see someone in the comments saying, please, no, I'm going to this game. I want to see him play. I'm sorry. I get it. This is the tough part of this. Do I want every fan to go out there and see Jayson Tatum? You've paid the money. Of course I do. Of course I want you to go see Jayson Tatum. At the same time, I'm thinking about, what do the Celtics need to do to win a championship? And for me, sitting him against Portland, sitting him on the other back-to-back at home and against Utah, and then the Toronto one at the beginning of April, those make sense to me. If you sit him against Portland, then he's got 2 days off before Utah, 2 days off before Sacramento, 2 days off before Indiana. That's just it just makes sense to me. So I see this game as my evidence. Am I stretching it? Am I being, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe is it because he had 2 days off, or is it because he was playing the Hawks? I mean, you're playing the Rockets next and then Minnesota, and then, you're not playing exactly the best defenses in the world. So I can sit there and say, hey, the 2 days off really helped. They obviously do. I mean, 2 days off helps, but I'm taking that as my evidence that the 2 days off is part of the winning plan, I should say, for Jayson Tatum. Let's see. What else do we have here? The offensive rebounding was atrocious. You gotta box out. I mean, How many times are you going to say that? You got to box out. And that's just effort. And I think there was some part of this game that was some of the same problems the Celtics have had before, but I think that's just something you're just gonna have to expect. Good team against the 8th seed or play-in tournament team. It's gonna happen. Derek White was great. As usual, 18 points on 7 of 10 shooting. Malcolm Brogdon was great, 18 points for him on 8 of 12 shooting. 2 big contributions there. Sam Hauser did exactly what you want Sam Hauser to do, 4 of 5 from 3. So Sam, I think, had a good game. Jaylen Brown had a good game. For the most part, that lapse is something that really does stick with me. And he had some kind of, I'm surprised he only had 1 turnover. He lost the ball a bunch, but they got it back. But generally, he had a really good game. 24 points, 10 of 18 shooting. Didn't shoot well from 3, but I thought he took a couple of quick ones. But other than that, 24 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. Nice game from JB. All right, the last bit, Blake Griffin played 15 minutes. Grant Williams played 0 minutes. That's something that I'm going to save for tomorrow's show because I think it's a greater discussion. The Grant Williams, Blake Griffin, I'm writing about it for Boston Sports Journal. That's going to be on there. I'll talk about that on BSJ. So if you want to read that there, you can. Otherwise, you'll hear it. You'll hear my thoughts on tomorrow's podcast. So subscribe. We'll talk about it there. Going back to the Monday through Friday, the full half hour. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Subscribe there. Hop into the comment section. And I'd love it if you share the podcast. Tell your friends and everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast right here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.